Dear students, today I have decided to continue with gastrointestinal tract. Look at this blackboard. I have drawn the diagram of gastrointestinal tract. GIT तो आप नाम सुने होंगे. GIT मैंने लिखा है gastrointestinal tract. Full form of GIT is gastrointestinal tract. In my earlier videos, I have told you about the component of gastrointestinal tract. एक gastrointestinal tract में क्या होता है और उसमें what are the functions. आज मैं आपको मूवमेंट ऑफ गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट के बारे में जानकारी देना चाह रहा हूं. मूवमेंट ऑफ गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट. तो लेट अस राइट मूवमेंट ऑफ गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट. मूवमेंट ऑफ गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट, ये चीज जानने के लिए जरूरी है. वी मस्ट नो व्हाट आर द मूवमेंट्स वी कैन सी विद द गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट. मैंने आपको इससे पहले जो वीडियो मैंने बताया उसमें मैंने ब्लड कैसे एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जाती है उसके बारे में मैंने आपको जानकारी दी. ब्लड जो है, खून एक जगह से दूसरी जगह इसीलिए जाती है क्योंकि जो नली में जाती है उसमें देयर इज ए प्रेशर डिफरेंस. प्रेशर डिफरेंस की वजह से ब्लड जो है एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जाती है. लेकिन यहाँ पे पूरी ट्रैक्ट अगर आप देखें, देयर इज नो प्रेशर डिफरेंस. कोई प्रेशर की कोई मतलब है ही नहीं. अगर नहीं है तो खाना जो हम खाते हैं मुंह पे तो डालते हैं, वो एनस तक पहुंचता है. कैसे पहुंचता है? दैट इज द मूवमेंट ऑफ गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट. तो नाउ वी मस्ट टॉक अबाउट इन डिटेल्स व्हाट आर द मूवमेंट्स वी कैन सी. यहाँ पे पहले आप देखिएगा माउथ है. माउथ का एक मूवमेंट होती है. माउथ मूवमेंट प्रेजेंट इन द माउथ. MOUTH. माउथ जो है दिस इज यूटिलाइज्ड फॉर च्यूइंग. हम जो खाना खाते हैं उस खाना जो है उसकी हम उसको कट करते हैं. जो खाना हम खाते हैं with the help of chewing मैंने लिखा है माउथ. मूवमेंट ऑफ माउथ इज chewing. मूवमेंट ऑफ माउथ इज chewing. CHEWING chewing. उसमें हम खाना को काटते हैं, उसकी सरफेस एरिया बढ़ाते हैं. क्यों बढ़ाते हैं? माउथ में जो एंजाइम सीक्रेट होती है, ये सलाइवरी ग्लैंड इज देयर. ये सलाइवरी ग्लैंड से क्या सीक्रेट होती है? सलाइवा सीक्रेट होती है. सलाइवा में क्या एंजाइम होती है? एंजाइम फॉर कार्बोहाइड्रेट होती है, अल्फा एमाइलेज. एंजाइम फॉर कार्बोहाइड्रेट, अल्फा एमाइलेज. Another enzyme also we can see, that is lingual lipase. Means माउथ में जो सलाइवा मिलती है उस सलाइवा से कार्बोहाइड्रेट डाइजेस्ट हो सकती है. लिटिल बिट फैट ऑल्सो कैन बी डाइजेस्टेड. लेकिन देयर इज नो एंजाइम व्हिच कैन डाइजेस्ट प्रोटीन व्हिच इज प्रेजेंट इन द सलाइवा. तो इसका मतलब इसमें जो हम खाना च्यूइंग की बात कर रहा है, उस च्यूइंग के द्वारा हम क्या करते हैं? खाने का जो सरफेस एरिया है उसको बढ़ा देते हैं. बढ़ाने से क्या है? then the enzymes which are present in the saliva can be mixed well so that the carbohydrate which we are taking can be broken into a smaller one. क्योंकि कार्बोहाइड्रेट जो है it is the complex food. कार्बोहाइड्रेट cannot be absorbed. simplest form of कार्बोहाइड्रेट जो है that is the glucose. ग्लूकोज एब्जॉर्ब हो सकती है लेकिन कार्बोहाइड्रेट cannot be absorbed. There is no system present in our body which can absorb carbohydrate. Save the simplest form of carbohydrate, say it is the glucose, fructose, so galactose. These are the simplest form of fat, maybe monosaccharide. These are all monosaccharide. Disaccharide also can be absorbed, but polysaccharide cannot be absorbed. So what I want to say is the movement of mouth. माउथ ये आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे मसल होती है. we call it muscle for mastication. chewing another name is mastication. the muscles of mastication is involved in this process, so that food जो है is being cut. Now what is happening here? It is the esophagus. Now next is कट होने के बाद food जो है it will enter into the pharynx. Now here if we talk about the movement of the esophagus, next is after mouth, the next is pharynx and the esophagus. Now if we talk about the movement of the esophagus, then it is two type of movement we can see. One is voluntary movement and another is involuntary movement. Involuntary movement. Now voluntary is it is with the help of tongue, which is present here in the mouth. With the help of tongue, food is sent to the esophagus. So that is the voluntary process. But involuntary, it is the movement present in the pharynx and involuntary stage, and the movement of the esophagus, that is the also involuntary phase. Here we have another structure, that is upper esophageal sphincter. Here we have the lower esophageal sphincter. So sphincter is there. Why I am talking about the sphincter? This is the place below this, up the upper esophageal sphincter up to anus. We can see the smooth muscle. ये जो आप wall देख रहे हैं, this wall is made by the smooth muscle. Means as soon as food enters into the cross the upper esophageal sphincter, it enters into the esophagus. The food automatically it will reach up to the anus. Why? Because there is a smooth muscle. Due to this, the movement is involuntary. So this is the pharyngeal stage. And esophageal stage. So involuntary movement is two type. One is pharyngeal, another is esophageal. Now in pharyngeal, what will happen? In pharyngeal, the food gradually it will enter into the esophagus. Before enters into the esophagus, the stage we are talking about pharyngeal phase. As soon as food enters into the esophagus, we call it esophageal stage. What is happening in esophageal stage? Here we will have to talk about primary peristalsis. We will have to talk about primary peristalsis, and another is secondary peristalsis. Now try to listen carefully. I have said that movement present in the esophagus is two types. One is primary peristalsis, another is secondary peristalsis. I will tell you what is peristalsis. It is that process where both circular and longitudinal muscle both are involved. Now what is the difference between what is primary peristalsis and what is secondary peristalsis? As soon as food enters into the esophagus, simply it will go to the stomach. That is the primary peristalsis. Now sometimes you might have experienced with this type of movement. What type of movement? हम खाना खा रहे हैं, रोटी खा रहा है, खाते खाते हो जाता है, क्या होता है, इसमें अटक जाता है, ये जो इसोफेगस है उसमें अटक जाता है. तो अटक जाने से क्या कहते हैं, अरे मम्मी पानी ले आओ. तो क्या करते, जैसे ही हम पानी पीते हैं तो ये जो अटक गया था, that will be normal. Means what I am talking about, a large amount of food will remain there and we are unable to pass this large amount of food. We are asking others to bring the water. That movement is called secondary peristalsis. So what is the difference between primary peristalsis and secondary peristalsis? Primary peristalsis, also there is an involvement of both circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. In in secondary peristalsis, there also there is an involvement of circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. But the difference is, in case of primary peristalsis, area is small, but the secondary peristalsis, a large area is involved. So there is a powerful contraction and relaxation, resulting जो खाना अटक गया था, this will cross and will reach into the stomach. Now coming to the movement of the stomach. Movement of the stomach, this is the second movement, this is the second point, movement of the esophagus. Third is movement of the stomach. Here, movement of the stomach. Here we can see the first is the gradually there is a food which will enter into the stomach. So in first stage there is a entry of the food. There will be relaxation of lower esophageal sphincter, relaxation of upper esophageal sphincter, relaxation of lower esophageal sphincter. Food enter into the stomach. Now first there will be a stretching of the stomach. It will be stretched. Stretching will be there. Now here, coming to the movement of the stomach. So here what will happen? You can see this. Gradually this will be filled with the stomach. Now here I want to say something different. हम खाना खाते हैं, खाना खाते खाते हमारा स्टोमक जो है फील हो जाता है. फिर क्या होता है, मान लीजिए किसी ने पेट भर गया है, फिर हमें किसी ने खीर ला के दे दिया, वो भी हम खा लेते हैं. खीर के बाद क्या होता है, कोई राजभोग ला के दे दिया, तो वो भी हम खा लेते हैं. तो होता क्या है, पहले तो हमारा स्टोमक फील, इट वाज फील्ड, अगेन कहाँ से जगह आ गया जिससे कि ना हम खीर भी खा लिया, उसमें राजभोग भी खा लिए. तो what is happening here? Actually the stomach is acting as a balloon. हवा आप जैसे भरोगे, स्टोमक का जो एरिया है, which will size of the stomach gradually will increase. So it is acting as a balloon. So that is the receptive relaxation. Because of this receptive relaxation, the volume of the stomach increased, area stomach can occupy large amount of can have large amount of food gradually. So that is the relaxation we can see, and this relaxation also I will explain later on what is the physiology behind this, why the muscle present in the stomach gets relaxed. Another is after filling this, that is the filling of the that is the storage function of the stomach, that is the movement of the stomach. Another is, one is storage function, storage. B is propulsion, and the C, third is retropulsion. So there are three type of movements we can see. One is the storage function of the stomach, another is propulsion, and third is retropulsion. होता क्या है, स्टोर तो हो गया, स्टोर होने के बाद स्टोमक का काम क्या है, स्टोमक का काम यही है कि द फूड व्हिच इज प्रेजेंट इन द स्टोमक हैज टू बी मिक्स्ड प्रॉपर्ली. ये जो मिक्सिंग का काम है, दिस मिक्सिंग इज डन बाय द प्रोसेस इज प्रोपल्सन एंड रेट्रोपल्सन. प्रोपल्सन में क्या होता है, ये आप देख रहे हैं डायग्राम, दिस इज द स्टोमक. देन इफ आई वांट टू शो यू व्हाट इज प्रोपल्सन एंड रेट्रोपल्सन, ये आप स्टोमक देख रहे हैं, देन इट इज, see here in this diagram what I have seen here, it was filled with the food. Now here there is a contraction, here there is a contraction, here there is a contraction. So there is a contraction of the circular muscle and relaxation of the longitudinal muscle. So a ring like appearance we can see in the stomach, resulting food will be moved towards this, the food will be moved towards this. कौन सी फूड, जो फूड वॉल के पास लगा हुआ है, that food I am talking about, this food will be moved towards this. Here we have the sphincter here. Here we have the sphincter here. This sphincter is called pyloric sphincter. This sphincter is called pyloric sphincter. ये sphincter का काम यही है कि सिर्फ water can pass, food cannot pass. This sphincter will remain closed. In this movement of stomach, in this condition, the sphincter which is present here will remain closed. This sphincter will remain closed. So this will be transferred as a closed cavity, transformed as a closed cavity. Then what will happen? There is a formation of the ring-like structure. So food nearer to the wall will move towards this. तो ये क्लोज हो जाती है. क्लोज होने से क्या होगा? क्लोज होने से ये जो फूड है, दिस विल मूव टुवर्ड्स दिस and this will move towards this. So this movement is called retropulsion. This movement is called retropulsion, and this movement is called propulsion. So there are three type of movement. One is storage function. The stomach is filled with the food, that is the storage function. जैसे ये fill हो जाती है, फिर इसका काम है, ये जो food है, this food has to be mixed with the secretory substances present in the stomach. उसको हम कहते हैं gastric juice. I will tell you what are the composition of the gastric juice, what is the function of the gastric juice, but I do not want to spoil your time. I will request all of you, please listen carefully. My topic is only the movement of the stomach. So only I will be talking about the movement here. So here, what are the movement of the stomach? One is storage function, another is propulsion and retropulsion. And then next is so this movement is done such a way the food which is present in the stomach will be mixed with the gastric juice. Then coming to the gastric emptying. The next movement is gastric emptying. The next movement I am talking about is gastric emptying. Emptying means it is the process by which stomach is evacuated. Mix तो हो गया, digest भी हो गया, फिर जो food है, this food will enter the small intestine. कैसे? उसको हम कहते हैं process of evacuation. We call it gastric emptying. तो इस gastric emptying आपने पंप देखा होगा, वाटर पंप. वो क्या करते हैं? पानी फेंकता है. उस वाटर पंप जो पानी फेंकते हैं उसकी स्पीड, पानी फेंकने का जो स्पीड है, यू कैन मॉडिफाई. थोड़ा ज्यादा भी कर सकते हैं, कम भी कर सकते हैं. ये जो गैस्ट्रिक एम्प्टाइंग की हम बातें कर रहे हैं, इसमें स्टोमक इज इवाक्युएटेड. तो ये इवाक्युएशन डिपेंड करता है स्टिमुलेटिंग फैक्टर्स and inhibiting factors. We have to think about what are the stimulating factors and what are the inhibiting factors. अगर stimulating factors ज़्यादा powerful है तो stomach will be evacuated rapidly. अगर inhibiting factors ज़्यादा prominent है, ज़्यादा powerful है, then stomach will not be evacuated. अभी एक चीज मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा हूँ, ये जो evacuation डिपेंड करता है what type of food you have had. मैं जोर से बोल रहा हूँ, इसीलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि अगर ये फूड पूरी कार्बोहाइड्रेट से है, मतलब your stomach is filled with only carbohydrate, तो evacuation will be fast. अगर ये प्रोटीन है, फैट है, तो इवाक्यूएशन विल बी स्लो. इसीलिए हम कहते हैं कि आपकी फूड जो है इट शुड बी बैलेंस्ड फूड. बैलेंस्ड फूड मतलब एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट, एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ प्रोटीन, एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ फैट. तो उससे क्या होगा, एक कंट्रोल अमाउंट an adequate amount of food. Adequate amount of food. No food. It is the thing which enters into the small intestine. It is called chyme. 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 इसको फूड नहीं बोलेंगे क्योंकि फूड स्टोमक तक फूड जो है इट इज ऑल राइट फाइन. जैसे ही ये स्टोमक में एंट्री मारता है तो गैस्ट्रिक जूस है ना, इट इज फुल ऑफ एसिड. So this food is converted to chyme. So this chyme enters into the small intestine. Now what will happen? Here we have some factors which can stimulate and which can inhibit it. Here as soon as chyme enters into the duodenum, also we will have some stimulating factors and inhibiting factors, so that a controlled amount enters into the first part of the duodenum. कंट्रोल्ड अमाउंट और एडिक्वेट अमाउंट, ज्यादा भी नहीं होता है कम भी नहीं होता है. द पर्सन हु इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम डायरिया, do you think adequate amount enters into this small intestine? No, some problem is there. Maybe inhibiting factors becomes very much prominent. So that is why there will be a first entry of chyme here, and resulting person is suffering from diarrhea. There is another opposite sign and symptoms or the condition we can see is constipation. So constipation में हो सकता है the inhibiting factors or the stimulating factors. Two factors I have told. The stimulating factors may be dominant, may be powerful. So that is why the person is suffering from constipation. So two things are there, constipation and diarrhea. Again, this constipation and diarrhea also indirectly depend on the entry of chyme into the first part of the small intestine. We call it duodenum. So intestine, if we talk about, this is the gastric emptyme. Now movement of the intestine, the fourth point is, fifth is movement of small intestine. Here, if we talk about the movement of small intestine, then it is actually the there are two type of movements we can see. One is the peristalsis. One is peristalsis, and another is segmentation contraction. Segmentation contraction. I have taken little time to mention about two terms. One is peristalsis, another is segmentation contraction. I am talking about movement of small intestine. So here, if we draw the diagram of the small intestine, look at this. I am drawing the diagram of the small intestine. Here it is the small intestine where food bolus. We have said chyme. So this bolus has to pass. So we want bolus to be passed. So there are two type of movement. One is segmentation contraction and another is peristalsis. Now what is the difference between this? ये जो segmentation contraction देख रहा है, it is involved to cut the bolus. It is only involved to cut the bolus. तो ये जो bolus है, this will be divided into two. Segmentation contraction, it is because of contraction of the circular muscle. Only circular muscle is involved. So if as far as cutting is concerned, अगर बोलस को दो टुकड़े में बांटना है, then it is segmentation contraction. अगर this bolus has to be moved from one place to another place, then we need two type of muscle. One is circular muscle, another is longitudinal muscle. If two muscles are involved, then we can say it is peristalsis. So that is the basic difference between peristalsis and segmentation contraction. So if we want to cut the bolus, that is segmentation contraction. If we want to pass, if we expect that bolus to be passed from one place to another place, then it is peristalsis. So there are two types of movement we can see in the small intestine. One is peristalsis, another is segmentation contraction. Now, what will happen? Here, ileocecal valve is there. Now, this is the large intestine. The movement present in the large intestine, also it is two types. Large intestine, the movement present in the large intestine is also two. One is hustration, one is hustration, and another is mass movement. Another is mass movement. One is hustration, another is mass movement. What is the basic difference between hustration and mass movement? Hustration is also, there is an involvement of only circular muscle, but the mass movement is, there is an involvement of two types of muscle. One is circular muscle, another is longitudinal muscles. So two types of muscles are involved. As far as mass movement is concerned, hustration only circular muscles. What is the basic difference between hustration and segmentation contraction? Here also circular muscles, here also circular muscles. The basic difference is here small area is involved, hustration a large area is involved. The peristalsis and the mass movement, peristalsis also there is involvement of both circular muscle and longitudinal muscle. But in mass movement also there is an involvement of both circular muscle and the longitudinal muscle. But the basic difference is, in case of mass movement, large area is involved. Large area is involved, but here we can see the peristalsis, but the small area is involved. So here large area means many muscle fibers, circular muscle, longitudinal muscle. Many fibers are involved here. So what will happen? So there will be a rolling, and what will happen? The content which is present in the large intestine will move. Now come to the rectum. Next to large intestine is rectum. The movement present in the rectum is called defecation. Defecation. Movement present in the rectum is called defecation. It is the process by which unwanted product, unwanted substances are released from the body, evacuated from the body. That is called defecation. This defecation again, it's a example of long reflex. Long reflex. There are two types of reflex. One is short reflex, another is long reflex. So in this defecation, it is an example of long reflex. Now the movement of the rectum means it is defecation. It is the process by which unwanted products are evacuated from the body. So through the anus. Now, what are the movements I have said? If I summarize, movement present in the mouth, that is mastication. Then movement present in the esophagus, that is the voluntary movement. Involuntary movement. Voluntary, it is the tongue which is involved to carry the food or sending the food from mouth towards the esophagus. Now, the esophageal stage, that is the involuntary phase, and pharyngeal phase, also the involuntary phase. So voluntary, involuntary, both we can see as far as movement present in the pharynx and the esophagus is concerned. Then coming to the stomach, that is one main function is first function of the stomach is storage function. Then second is peristalsis, second is propulsion, and the third is retropulsion. Then coming to the movement present in the small intestine, that is segmentation contraction and peristalsis. Movement present in the large intestine, it is hustration and the mass movement, and the movement present in the rectum is defecation. Now here the gallbladder, here we can see the juice which is juice present in the gallbladder, we call it bile. There is also involvement of circular muscle and the longitudinal muscle, and we can see the release of bile. So that is the movement of the gastrointestinal tract. But be clear, before you write, you must look at how many marks are there. If it is 2 marks, then only you have to write segmentation contraction and peristalsis. That is the main movement we can talk about. But if it is a long question, then you have to talk about movement of the mouth, movement of the esophagus, movement of the stomach, movement of the small intestine, movement of the large intestine, and the movement of the rectum. Thank you. I think all of you are understood with the movement of the gastrointestinal tract. And also I request all of you, please subscribe so that I can be inspired in future. Thank you.